What's up, guys? This is now the third time trying to upload this video. First time I ran out of space, or I only had like 6 minutes to talk, didn't realize it. Um, and then the second time I got interrupted. So try this one more time. Talk some UFC 250. Spencer and Nunes. It's an alright card. There's definitely some bangers on this card. Looking forward mostly to Sandhagen and Sterling. But we're going to recap some previous events very quickly. Go back to Anthony Smith losing to Glover. I had picked Anthony Smith to win that fight, even though I like Glover. I picked Glover to win most of his previous fights. So it's good to see him show up and at 40 years old still have it in the tank. And Anthony Smith, he's a letdown. He's a letdown. I thought this was a fight that he needed to win to keep himself right there in the mix for championship contention, and he's just a letdown. So that was really the only fight I want to talk about there. Moving on, was that 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? Overeem defeating Walt Harris. I picked Overeem to win that fight. I had my money on Overeem. I couldn't resist that underdog price tag on him. Being the more accomplished fighter, having the better resume, it speaks a lot. And you're playing with fire either way because you never know how a fighter is gonna show up and show out following a personal tragedy. I was kind of rooting for Walt Harris, even though I was betting against him. But hopefully he can bounce back and get a W. And he did almost win this fight. Overeem made a critical error. He made the same error that Rosenstruck made when he got knocked out against Ngannou, and that was throwing a lazy leg kick as the opponent was closing distance and left themselves wide open for a counter hook. And it nearly cost Overeem, and props to the ref for letting that fight go on. I think if it was any other referee, they would have stopped it. But given that it was Dan Miragliotta who reffed Overeem's previous fight, where he really stopped the fight too soon. There was 3-4 seconds left when Overeem lost to Rosenstruck in a fight that he was going to win on the cards. I think maybe Dan felt bad and thought he'd give Overeem the benefit of the doubt, let him continue to fight on, and props to Overeem for getting that W. So it'll be interesting. This guy just sticks around. It'll be interesting to see who they match him up with next. Other than that, there was some poor judging on that card, in my opinion. I had Marlon Vera as an underdog to beat Song Yadong. I thought he won the fight. I wouldn't say it's a robbery, but I did score for Vera. I thought he definitely won rounds 2 and 3. But what are you going to do? I also thought Edson Barbosa would win over Dan Ige, and I thought he did beat Dan Ige. But again, not a robbery. I thought if anything, it should have been a draw. But it's a good win for Dan Ige. And Barbosa at 145, there's some life to it, I think. As long as he continues to make the weight cut well. And then you had Claudia Gadelha defeating Angela Hill. I thought this should be an easy fight for Claudia Gadelha so long as she executed the game plan she needed to against Angela Hill in a 3-round fight. But props to Angela, she has made improvements, and Claudia Gadelha, she's full on fade at this point because she has all the tools to go out there and defeat Angela Hill. Even though she did win, I thought she could get a submission and really make a statement. But she won a 3-round decision, 3-round decision. All right, so last week, Woodley and Burns. I picked Woodley to win that fight. Didn't bet him or anything. Too much chalk on a guy that You don't know where his head's at necessarily. Woodley has his hands in a lot of different things. You don't know if he's really fully committed. And let's be honest, it's not the same Woodley of a couple years ago. He's older now, he's injury prone, doesn't seem to want to pull the trigger. And props to Gilbert Burns. There's something we just said about an active fighter, and Gilbert Burns has been very active. Don't know what his ceiling is necessarily, but there's he's top 10 for sure, top 5 maybe. He's right there in the mix. Another win, maybe gets a title shot. I think my only play on that card was Dern to beat Cyphers by submission at even money. That to me was a no-brainer. It was risky because it is still Mackenzie Dern. She can be a letdown, but given that Cyphers was submitted by Angela Hill, of all people, you knew once this fight hit the mat, it would be over shortly after. All right, moving on to UFC 250 tomorrow night. Not going to talk about every fight on this card, just because I don't have a particular opinion one way or the other, or not enough research one way or the other. I know Dunham's coming back after retirement. When you see fighters come back after retiring, especially if they lost like by KO or TKO in their last couple fights, doesn't usually work out for them. But I know Burns is a big favorite, so I would just pass on that fight. Let's hop over to Formiga against Perez. I like Formiga as an underdog. I think I took him at plus 115. Formiga is a much more accomplished fighter. He could come out here and he could lose for sure, but I think he should actually be the favorite over Perez. So I thought there was some value on Formiga at plus 115. Let's go over to Alex Caceres and Chase Hooper. Hooper's got some he's got some potential. Super young. I think he's like 19 or 20. His stand-up's not very good, but UFC is setting him up for a win here to go in and beat a guy like Alex Caceres. Just a 500 fighter, and I kind of actually want to take Alex Caceres in this fight. There's something. Even though Alex Caceres, if this does hit the mat, he's probably going to lose, probably going to get submitted. But if he's able to keep this on the feet, he's probably going to expose Chase, and maybe expose him badly, and give him a vet lesson. So Alex Caceres is a big underdog, or I think he was plus 150 or 60. What do they show right now? Plus 170 on Alex Caceres. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with taking a shot on Alex. Maybe even Caceres by knockout plus 465. That's pretty good too. Again, he might get submitted, but the dog odds on Caceres are pretty good in my opinion. Moving on to the next fight, actually on the main card, Sean O'Malley, Sugar Sean. Definitely Eddie Wineland's the biggest test for O'Malley at this point. So the line is pretty wide in my opinion, minus 500 on Sean O'Malley. I wouldn't mess with that. I think he wins. At bantamweight, he's someone to watch out for sure. Bantamweight's pretty loaded. It's pretty loaded. So give me Sugar Sean to come out here and maybe finish Eddie Wineland. But again, that minus 500 is a little bit too wide in my opinion. On to the next fight. Neil Magny and Anthony Rocco Martin. I like Neil Magny. Yeah, I think he's a combatives fighter dating back to the army, and I can appreciate that. I picked him in his last fight as a pretty sizable dog against, I think it was the Leech. Yep. He showed up in that fight and he fought well. He uses the tools that he needed to use to win a fight, and beat a guy like the Leech. But in this fight, I think I might go Rocco Martin as the underdog. Um, I think it could be a close fight. Could go either way, but give me Rocco Martin. I think I took him by TKO at like 9-1 or something like that. Something ridiculous. Because I think he can chop those legs of Neil Magny and maybe get a second or third round TKO. Again, I mean, if Neil Magny can go out there and execute a game plan and get some top control, but Rocco Martin's not even Damian Maia could submit Rocco. So give me Rocco Martin as an underdog in that fight. But it's close. All right, next, really the fight that I'm looking forward to the most: Aljamain Sterling and Corey Sandhagen. I took Sandhagen as a small dog. I actually thought it should be the other way around, even though, Aljamain Sterling has come a long ways. Honestly, ever since his knockout loss to Marlon Moraes in a fight that I picked, of course, Aljamain Sterling to beat Marlon Moraes, and he got knocked out in like, what was it, a minute or something. He's made a lot of improvements, and you can't sleep on this guy. He could come out here and he could win a decision over Sandhagen. But I do see it going the other way. I think it could be close. I think it could be a split. But I think I think his ceiling is greater, even though his takedown defense can be a little suspect. His scrambling is great. He can get back to his feet well. And when it comes to striking, I love the way he works the body. He's diverse. And I think he wins a 29-28, maybe 30-27 decision over Aljamain Sterling. But, if the line was the other way and you could get Sterling at plus, plus money, that wouldn't be terrible either, because Sterling does have a path to victory here. But, yeah, give me Sandhagen on that. 60-40 Sandhagen. That's how I favor him. Cody Garbrandt and Rafael Assunção. Man, you know what? I like Cody, but man, good luck to you if you're gonna lay that chalk down on Cody Garbrandt, man. This is 3-4 years ago. This is the type of fight that Cody would win. But this is not the same Cody Garbrandt. Another long layoff, injuries. I think he changed camps from what I saw, but he can come out here and he could knock out Assunção for sure. But I think it's dog or pass all day. You can't trust Cody Garbrandt with your money. So yeah, dog or pass on that fight. And then we got Amanda Nunes, the GOAT female fighter, against Felicia Spencer. Nunes is, I picked her to beat Cyborg. I picked her to beat Rousey. I did fade her when she fought Holly Holm. I took Holm as a big underdog. I think she was like plus 300, and that was the risk. If Holm doesn't get finished, I think Holm could have won that fight via decision. But she looked timid. She looked awful. She looked scared. And Nunes showed her what happens when you look scared. And I also thought Germaine de Randamie had a chance against Nunes in the rematch. And you know what? Germaine de Randamie on the feet, she was having a lot of success over Amanda Nunes. A lot of success. But Amanda Nunes is not a stupid fighter. She is smart. She has a high fight IQ. She knew what she needed to do to win that fight, and she executed. Despite it maybe not being the most exciting. She did what a champion does, and she executed. Felicia Spencer, Amanda Nunes has nothing to worry about on the feet, other than maybe like a lucky punch or something, but Spencer doesn't necessarily carry a lot of power. She is a black belt in Taekwondo, but to be honest, her striking is pretty atrocious. Um, but Felicia Spencer, also a very intelligent fighter. She knows what she needs to do to win fights, and she goes in there and she either executes or she tries to do what she needs to do to win the fight, like what she did with Cyborg. Um, on the feet, I mean, Spencer, she's got a great chin, which is why I think, a little poke on that plus 500 price tag is decent. I think it's stupid to bet against Amanda Nunes, okay? But you know what? Give me Spencer plus 500. Give me Spencer via submission at 10 to 1. I think if she can survive that early fire from Nunes, and I know Nunes has fixed her cardio, but you know what? She was point fighting with Shevchenko. Spencer is going to initiate the grappling exchange. If she can close the distance without getting knocked out, she's going to initiate grappling. She's going to wear on Amanda Nunes, show she's an equally sized girl, maybe bigger girl than Nunes, and really try and grind on Amanda Nunes and wear on that gas tank. And we're going to see if Amanda Nunes' cardio is up to task, is up to par. Maybe it is. Maybe she wins a decision over Spencer or knocks Spencer out in the first round. No, she's the rightful favorite. But again, I think, let me get this right. I think Nunes probably wins this fight. But give me Spencer by submission, 10 to 1, plus 500. Maybe even in play when Spencer loses that first round. If you can get her plus 800, plus 900. I think she's worth a shot. I think she has a path to victory. It's a bit massive uphill battle, but that's my thoughts on that fight. Decent card. Underdogs are like 3-0 or 4-0 in the last 4 events, which just goes to show how unpredictable UFC can be. And given the circumstances surrounding the world we live in today, you never know how that's going to affect a fighter. If a fighter gets a full training camp, there's a lot of variables now that weren't there 6 months ago. So, but enjoy the fights, everyone. Leave a comment and